Today, I am going to be talking about my personal virtues and exploring all of those. I would say that four virtues that I possess would be responsibility, integrity, perseverance, and curiosity. Civic virtue would be responsibility. I believe that I contribute positively to the communities that I'm a part of, including being reliable in a group setting, taking ownership of tasks that affect more than just myself. I value being somebody that's people can count on and who helps maintain a respectful and cooperative environment. My moral virtue would be integrity. Integrity is a moral virtue I strive to practice consistently. I aim to be honest in my actions and decisions, even when it might be easier to not be. Acting with integrity means my behavior, my values, and being accountable for my choices. For performance virtue, I would say that would be perseverance. In education, things can be tough with working with children, obviously, but I believe that we have a good community surrounding us, and if you keep persevering, we can get through the hard times and the struggles with those that are around us. But being able to stay focused on the goal and to continue toward working and improving rather than giving up, I believe that persevering is a good long-term success and growth. And finally, intellectual virtue would be curiosity. Curiosity is an intellectual virtue that I strive to identify with or strongly identify with. I enjoy asking questions, exploring new ideas, and trying to understand how things work. I feel like as a paraprofessional right now, I have a great opportunity to continue to ask questions about things in my degree because I am surrounded by people that have a lot of knowledge about the questions that I might be asking. So when it comes to describing my four virtues, how I can create that in an inclusive classroom, I believe that my civic virtue of responsibility, it can help me create an inclusive classroom by encouraging myself to just consider the needs of all of the students. As the teacher, I have the responsibility to make sure every student feels safe and included, regardless of their background, abilities, or perspectives. And this means setting clear expectations for respect, addressing unfair behavior, and making sure that all that classroom activities allow every student to participate. Being responsible also means adapting my teaching strategies to the students so they all have equal opportunities to learn and succeed. I see that every day working in special education. I firmly believe that all students should have access to all of the learning, and there's always room for modifying or changing it up depending on the student that you're working with. And then as far as my moral virtue with integrity, it is important because we're building trust with students. And by me treating every student fairly and honestly, I can create a classroom where students feel respected and valued. Integrity also means standing up for the students that I'm working with and who might feel marginalized, and making sure that everybody has a voice that is heard. And when students see that their teacher are consistently acting like this with fairness and respect, it helps create a culture where inclusivity becomes the normal thing. And then as far as a performance virtue with perseverance, it helps me remain committed to supporting every student when challenges arise. In an inclusive classroom, students may have a different learning need or strategies that may not work right away. Perseverance allows me to continue to try and new approaches, adjusting the lessons and finding ways to accommodate the student to help them succeed. And then it also models resilience for students, showing them that effort and persistence is important, and you can keep trying and don't give up. And then as far as intellectual virtue with curiosity, it helps me remain open to learning about my students and their diverse backgrounds and cultures and their experiences. By being curious and asking questions, I can better understand what makes each student unique and incorporate those perspectives into the classroom. It also encourages me to explore new teaching methods and inclusive practices that can make learning more accessible and engaging for everybody. This openness helps create a classroom environment where diversity is valued and celebrated. When it comes to identifying virtues that I believe are most critical in my role as an educator, I believe that the virtues most critical in my role as an educator with responsibility, integrity, perseverance, and curiosity, these virtues guide how I will interact with my students, approach challenges in the classroom, and support the growth of every learner. They also closely align with Imago Dei, which teaches that every person created in the image of God and therefore possesses inherent worth, dignity, and potential. Responsibility is essential because teachers have a significant role in shaping the learning environment. By being responsible, I ensure that every student is treated with respect and given equal opportunities to participate and to succeed. When viewed through the lens of that Imago Dei, responsibility means recognizing that each student has value simply because they are created in God's image. This perspective motivates me to create a classroom where they feel seen, heard, respected, and supported as well. With integrity, it also plays a vital role in education. Acting with honesty and fairness helps build trust between the teacher and the students. And when I demonstrate integrity, I model the importance of respecting others and valuing their perspectives, which will help foster a classroom culture where all students feel safe and included. And with perseverance, an important teaching, because in teaching often involves overcoming challenges, especially when working to meet the diverse needs of students. By persevering, I remain committed to helping each student succeed, even when the progress might seem like it takes time. Perseverance helps ensure that I continue supporting students until they reach their full potential, rather than giving up when the difficulty arrives. And then with curiosity, another important virtue that because it encourages me to learn more about my students and their individual backgrounds, strengths, and their needs. Curiosity also helps me continue to grow by an educator by exploring new strategies and perspectives. Through the lens of Imago Dei, curiosity helps me appreciate the uniqueness of each student as a reflection of God's creativity and diversity. The mindset encourages me to celebrate differences and create new learning experiences that values every student's voice. Character formation means to me the intentional development of a person's values, habits, and virtues that shape how they might think, act, or relate to others. It is not simply about gaining knowledge or academic skills, but becoming a person who consistently demonstrates qualities such as integrity, responsibility, empathy, and perseverance. Character formation happens over time through experiences, reflection, guidance from mentors, and participation in communities that model positive values. In education, I believe that character formation is especially important because schools do more than deliver content. They also influence how students understand themselves and how they interact with the world. Us as teachers and educators, we play such a key role in ethical behavior and encouraging the respectful relationships and creating learning environments where students can practice their own virtues like cooperation, accountability, and honesty. Through these experiences, students begin to internalize values that guide their decisions inside and outside of the classroom. So I believe that educators have such a big, influential part of these students' lives outside of the academics and more about also helping them become great human beings. I believe that scholars describe character formation as a developmental process that involves cultivating virtues and moral habits through education and practice. For example, Thomas Lacona explains that character education involves helping students understand, care about, and act upon core ethical values, emphasizing that character is formed through consistent practice and reflection on moral principles. This perspective highlights that character formation is both a learning process and a lived experience that shapes who students become over time. In my view, character formation is therefore about guiding students to becoming thoughtful, ethical, and compassionate individuals. By fostering both academic growth and moral development, educators can help students build the foundation they need to have more responsible and meaningful lives. Some strategies that I will use to help foster character formation in the classroom could be modeling and reinforcing positive virtues. So I think that being open and honest with students about your own personal or positive virtues can be important, kind of opening up to them and telling them, experiences or things about your own virtues that you might have. Students learn a great deal by observing us and how we handle challenges and respond to mistakes. By consistently demonstrating respect, patience, honesty, and fairness, I can provide a clear example of positive character in action. I would also reinforce these virtues by acknowledging when students demonstrate them, such as helping a classmate or showing perseverance on a difficult assignment. This can be integrated naturally into the classroom throughout daily interactions, classroom expectations, and discussions about behavior and choices. Another one would be incorporating reflection and discussion. Like I said before, believe that being open and honest and being real with your students can be more important to them than just preaching or kind of talking down on them about how things should be. Having those discussions and reflections with the class as a whole can be really important too. As far as academically, during reading assignments or social studies lessons, students can discuss choices about the characters that they're reading about in their stories, or about historical figures that were made and the values that influence their decisions. These conversations can help students think critically about virtues such as honesty, courage, and compassion. And then finally, encouraging collaboration and respectful interaction. I believe that using a collaborative learning and activities that require students to work together respectfully is important. Group projects and peer discussions help students practice communication, teamwork, and empathy as they learn to listen to different perspectives. I would establish clear expectations for respectful dialogue and cooperation so that students feel safe sharing their ideas. By regularly including cooperative activities within lessons, character development becomes part of the learning process while students are engaging with the academic content too. So finally, some specific research and reading tools or resources or even trainings that I would further use for my own character development as an educator could be scholarly research and readings. One important way to grow in character as an educator is by engaging with research on character education and ethical practices. For example, the work of Thomas Lacona provides foundational insights into how virtues such as respect, responsibility, and empathy can be intentionally developed in schools. His book, Educating for Character, explains how educators can be intentionally developed, or how educators can cultivate ethical values through modeling classroom culture and curriculum integration. Reading scholarly literature like this helps educators better understand how character formation occurs. And another one would be some professional development and training. We do have the professional development days incorporated in our school year in the school district that I work at, which is really awesome, especially for paraprofessionals. We just had one in January, I want to say, and we as paras were able to choose what trainings that we wanted to attend. So that was really, they kind of gave a broad selection and we were able to choose which ones we wanted to do. And that was really cool that we were offered a choice, because some people want to learn more about one thing rather than another. So being able to have professional learning focused on character education or inclusive teaching can really strengthen my personal and professional character. Organizations such as Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, they offer trainings, articles, and webinars that address topics like SEL, creating supportive classroom environments, and ethical leadership. And finally, reflective practices and practical tools. In addition to research and training, reflective practices are essential for ongoing character development. Maintaining a reflective journal about classroom experiences, your challenges, or your successes can help evaluate my actions in areas and identify areas for growth. Peer feedback from colleagues and mentorship relationships with experienced educators can also provide valuable perspectives on how to improve my character and my teacher practices. And that is very important, to have a good community surrounding you to help you with being honest about, growth and your strengths and areas of work and growth. Thank you.